As you are aware, last night there was a downpour that left several parts of the city submerged, several areas are flooded. We'll take you around a few areas in the capital to give you an idea of exactly what level of devastation was caused by the floods. So let's start off from Kaswa.
Omuni gates bi afiance omo yi nti ama siano main gata no ko hwe chire ha nsuo bi anim ba area ha kakra no tem bia na nsuo no so ya na ha yi ye be sra ba no mehwe no mo bibuma na.
It's usual. Almost every year we experience this disaster and we are suffering. We suffering a lot. We always plead that the government will come and see us, because almost every year we see this disaster. This drainage, it floods all over from the streets inside our room. Even tonight, we don't know where to sleep. It has been a drama time.
Friday no mum dey nyame no krebet ba ka say ye gates no na afi na nyame aya adom a ye bi but nya nwie na ka ko say ase ye nwie na nsuo no toye no ama in fact na anodin pa because we be a me no gina ye tama me ba gina mu ne deda me kotodwa tra me sere kura ti ase nsuo na atwe kakra no na ama muhu ni se na nya kura nkofo be.
The situation was no different in Tama West around the Ajay-Kojo Kanewu area.
Tama West, they were great chancellor. Kanewu great chancellor. Ahana yawa, kuti yawa. Iso ayi yawa dem.
Omo besi gota lu.
My son is
So these are the cries of some affected persons from last night's flooding. The President, His Excellency John Dramani Mahama, has been speaking to the issue of perennial flooding, especially in the capital, Accra.
Flooding remains a major worry. Each year, lives and properties are lost as a result of floods, and this is due to poor drainage, unregulated development, and also the effects of climate change. This cannot continue. A dedicated interagency task force has already commenced work to implement a comprehensive flood mitigation strategy. And this includes the desilting of major drains, re-engineering of our waterways, relocating structures situated in watercourses, and enforcing our building regulations. The Odo Basin and the Kaneshi-Malam corridor are already being targeted under this plan. During my recent inspection of the World Bank-funded Greater Accra Resilient Integrated Development Program, GARID, I found that most of the flood prevention works are far behind schedule. While we await the completion of these projects, I call on all residents of Accra to avoid flooded drains during the rains and protect their valuable personal properties during the peak season of the rainy season in Accra, which starts from the end of this month till the end of June.
So that was His Excellency, the President of the Republic, John Dramani Mahama, speaking there regarding the issue of flooding and issuing some directives. Back here in the studio, I have with me the editor of the News Center newspaper and newscenter.com, Elvis Adakon. Elvis, good morning.
Good morning, Nana.
Trust you well.
By God's grace.
Very well. Even before we get into our business for today, I mean, we witnessed the rains last night. Quite heavy, and the flooding in its wake. We've seen some areas that were very flooded. There's danger ahead, isn't there?
we will only be pretending. Anybody complaining about flooding in this country after today is just a pretender.
Why?
Because it is a perennial affair. And we are worsening the problem each year by blocking more of the waterways because everybody thinks that I need a place to sleep, I need a place to do business, I need a place to do that. And when we are blocking the waterways every day, every week, every month, every year, how do we expect flooding not to take place when it rains?
Right.
Yesterday's rain were not heavy. The rain yesterday was not heavy.
Yeah, sure.
I'm telling you, if we have serious heavy rains in this country, Nana, I can tell you that this morning, they will be calling for a national emergency. What we had yesterday was just an introduction. Truth of the matter is that we should stop pretending that we do not know that when it rains in this country heavily it will flood. We should stop pretending. We all know that it will happen. Simply because as a country, we have never taken spatial planning seriously in this country.
Yeah.
We pay people who are sitting in offices as people who are supposed to make sure that the right things are done when it comes to spatial planning, but they will not do their work. Anybody who has grown up in Accra, Tema, a shaman in the 90s, if you are around 15 years or 14 years from the 90s till today, you conclude that the situation is worse than that time.
That's true.
Those days, when you go to Labadi, Labadi looks somehow well planned a bit. There are roads and everything. The very places in Labadi where there were empty spaces, today if you go, everywhere is occupied. Tema used to be a very nice place.
Yeah.
Go to Tema today and tell me that if you compare Tema of today to Tema of the 90s, you say Tema is well planned today.
The kiosks have taken over.
Everywhere, people have done unauthorized extensions, all kinds of things are being done. Nobody is doing anything about it. Look, the new committees that have sprung up in Tema, Ashaiman, Accra, go to there, mention places like Kwabenya, all the places that have sprung up, Ashalibutre, all those places, and yesterday I saw somebody say, they said they call the place East Legon Hills, yet people should come and see the flooding there. All these new communities that have sprung up around Accra, go and check how these communities are planned. There's no plan.
There's no plan.
People just, chiefs sell the land to them, they buy the land, they go there, they build. Everybody just build anyhow. We don't consider drainage, we don't consider anything. And the authorities that are to make sure that these things are done are collecting salary every month but will not do their work. Some will go to the field and collect money from people and permit the wrong thing to be done. And therefore, if you are paying bribe so that the right thing is not done, if the flood comes, the person who took the bribe money will be sitting somewhere and smiling. You, the one who think that you have done something by bribing somebody from doing the right thing, you are the one who will suffer. So when I hear people cry about this thing, I say we Ghanaians are the problem. Because if you understand and you believe that you don't want to be in problem, you know that the laws of the land do not permit you to even dig a ground and put one block without receiving the necessary permits from the fact that the land is registered for a lands commission. After that, you have to go to the assembly that is responsible to go and take your building permit, fire permit and everything before you put up a building. And you don't do these things. You are building, you realize that when you are building, there are no gutters. You yourself can realize that there's no gutter there. And you still go ahead and build. And then when it rains and your place is flooded, you are crying. Crying to who? The fact that people have decided not to do their job is one thing we have to lambast them for not doing their job. But the fact that you also realize that what you are doing is not the right thing, but you went ahead to do it, stop shouting. Blame yourself too for the problem.
Well, thank you, Elvis. Let me say good morning to Ibrahim. Ibrahim Ajay is a former Assistant Secretary, Office of the former President. Good morning, Ibrahim.
Nana Tifo, good morning.
I hope
good morning to
you are safe from the rains and the floods.
Yes, no, in Teshi it rained quite substantially, but as Elvis rightfully mentioned, this is not the worst that we know it can be in this season.
We're actually heading for the peak of the rainy season. We are not there yet.
Yeah, this is just the hors d'oeuvres, the prelims. And then look if you're the main meal is now coming.
Right.
You know, June, July, August.
August.
You'll see rain, what we call monsoon rain. Yeah, but just to echo on from what Elvis said, beyond we, the citizens, being to blame, and he's 100% right in that regard. But I've mentioned this time and again, sometimes it's ad nauseum. You get bored talking. For 20 plus years, this thing will happen Inshallah, next year, if God gives us life, we'll come here and we'll talk the same
cyclical
thing. Let me show you something very quickly. What is this? Tea, right?
Yeah.
If I cover it, can anything happen? Look, can anything enter inside?
No.
No. This is our situation regarding gutters. We don't cover the gutters.
Right.
Beyond people building illegally without gutters and what have you, we do have a strong network of gutters across the country, especially in the urban areas. Am I right? Good. And they are generally uncovered. So why won't waste, municipal waste, human waste, domestic waste, enter and then clog those pathways?
Yeah.
Do you get me? If we just invest, just covering the gutters, and how do you cover the gutters? You make it part of the contract.
Yeah.
That if you build, and I give you this contract, you have to provide guttering. And the guttering will have a sieve, sawing, at intersections. Because somebody said, oh, Ibrahim, if we cover the gutters, you know, how will we clean the gutters? Look at this. Once you know how to clean it, prevent the cleaning.
Right.
So at 100-meter intervals, which happens across the world, 100-meter intervals, you have a drain with a sieve. So when debris enters, it collects there. You can just lift that drain out, empty the waste. This is what the AMA or whoever TMA will do, and put that drain back. So it continually flows.
Very well.
So, I mean, I just want to mention that point, that until and unless we do that necessary simple thing, this time next year, God willing, we'll be talking about it. Cover the gutters.
Very well.
No.
Very well. Thank you so much.
We lost over 150 people in the June 10 disaster.
Yeah.
Ask yourself that from June 10
learned.
up to today, what significant has been done in this country to make sure that the country does not flood? Ask me about enforcement since June 10.
Yeah.
Ask me about building regulations and enforcement in this country. Where do you see it? So we cannot continue to be pretending that we don't know what the problem is. We know. I told you that this country's problems, we know. But we are not willing to take the difficult decisions to make sure that the right things are done. Because somebody thinks that I'll lose a vote. People will threaten that they'll vote against me. People will use the issue of, oh, that is what they do for a living. If you drag them out of the water, are they going to do it for a living? So we are actually allowing emotional blackmail to take precedent over ensuring that we do the right thing. And as long as that exists in this country, we should forget it. This dream, the president talked about building a new city. And I laughed. I said, build a new city for what? Because the point is that what we are going to talk about, if we start a new city today, tomorrow it will be like that.
Same problem.
In the early 90s, East Legon is the preserve of the rich. Go to East Legon today and go and see. There's a kiosk, in fact, the properties have been completely devalued by the way the place looks like today. Do you understand it?
They say come to the hills.
The hill which is flooded. Is it? So we can build a new city today, starting today. As long as we are not willing to take the painful decision to make sure that people abide by what the rules and regulations says, you will build that new city, it will become a slum tomorrow.
Right.
So the point is, fix what exists, fix the situation now. Before you think about building something new. We are always running away from the problem. When the problem is there, we are supposed to fix. They want to run away and say, oh, we have found a way, new way. But if you don't fix the problem, it will come and haunt you if we build a new city.
Let's move on. Some good news for us. Abosokan spare parts dealers are instructing their members to reduce prices. They issued a statement on Saturday, May 18, and asking that due to the appreciation of the Ghana Cedi, their members should reduce their prices. My question to you is that, should it take a directive from the association, or should market forces be allowed to come to play?
This is what I always tell them. They say our fundamental economy have problems. And these are the things you say. We are not a controlled price regime. We are in a deregulated market. We are in a free market. And people can decide to sell their things any price they like. In fact, the trade war that is happening between US and China today, one of the innovative ways the Chinese are trying to overcome the issue is leaving their government to fight, but the individuals and businesses in China have taken to the media. And this is what they are doing. They're telling all consumers around the world that when you buy a Gucci bag for $32,000, the money is going to the company called Gucci. But in China, the company that produce these bags for this company that sell to you, the total cost of the bag is about $2,000. Okay? The total cost of the bags, the things you see, is about $2,000. But it is the name brand Gucci.
Yeah.
So the additional amount you are paying for the bag is because you decide to wear a brand called Gucci. But you can find similar things without the brand name, same quality produced by the same company, that doesn't have the brand name, that is 2,000. So you see, in a free market economy, market forces determine what happens.
Yeah.
Under no circumstances should any association or government be begging or directing or instructing people to reduce prices. If we allow the economy to work well and market forces will determine the prices on the market, when a businessman has stock and realize that the stock is not moving because probably the currency has appreciated and people are finding alternatives elsewhere cheaper, you will be forced to reduce your own.
Exactly.
You'll be forced to reduce your own. But you see, they say aboso kind spare part market. That's why in advanced countries like other places, that is why Margaret Thatcher fought the unions. That is why in a place like America, there are big corporations who don't allow unionization and associations. Because sometimes they become a cartel. So they say, oh, this is the price. And everybody who is member of the association is selling at the same price. So sometimes these associations, they become impediments to market forces working. But if there's no association and you have your shop at Abosokai, somebody has his own at Labadi, somebody has his own at Kokumpi and other places, people would decide to sell based on the price. But now because association is going to say, oh, because of the dollar and the cedi, they say this spare part should sell at this price. So then this become like a whole monopoly, though there are many institutions out there. The truth of the matter is that business should be driven by market forces. If the person had stock and the stock remains there for 6 months, nobody is buying. Meanwhile, others have reduced their own in other places and they are selling. Nobody will tell those who are having stock for 6 months with the higher prices to also reduce it. You understand it? So we should begin to look at the fact that this is where we talk about competition laws. And this is what we talk about the importance of competition. That if competition is allowed to work in the system, what happens is that the consumer is the best beneficiary. Because if competition is really working, and I know that my competitor is selling this thing at 500, but I can still sell it at 450 and make a profit, I'll sell mine at 450.
Why not?
But then when you go and join an association with this particular spare part is to be sold at this price, then all of them begin to toe a certain line and say that is the determined price of and look at Abosokai, most of them are not selling anything new. They are selling used parts. But even because of the association, you ask for price from one store to the other. It's as if the price is uniform. And I don't think that's how. So all the traders in this country, and probably, maybe they also do not really have a clearer understanding of how competition helps. You understand? That is why Ghanaian is selling something here, and Nigerian or Chinese or Lebanese is selling next door, and it's like everybody is trooping to those shops, and then we are asking our government to drive them away because we think they are taking our jobs. It's because for them, when they can put a little profit margin and sell more, they believe that that is more profitable than having a higher margin and selling less. And in our country, truth of the matter, the Ghanaian businesses in this country, we must tell ourselves that truth of the matter is as if a lot of Ghanaian business have this understanding that they should be able to double their profit on a product. They have higher markups on their product. So if you see a Chinese or Lebanese or even next door Nigerian selling the same thing next to them or anywhere, you go there and realize that there's a complete big difference between the prices. And I think that the association also need to invest in educating their members to understand that yes, you may be an association, but see, individually, if you look at competition from a good point of view and you apply it well, you will sell more, you will make more profit than others who have higher prices. And I don't think that we should be making, because it's as if virtually the government has now to be calling on institutions, because the last time the finance minister met Food and Beverages Association and met Guta, and it's the minister now that is asking them that they should reduce prices. I don't think that is the business of the minister. Let people understand that there is benefit in competition. If you are selling A for 2 cedi and another person 1 cedi 50 pesos, I know both prices. I'm not going to buy 2 cedis because I will save 50 pesos by buying the one that's 1 cedi 50 pesos. And that is how market forces are allowed to. So I don't think that this call and directives and appeals from both government, to the association and the
unions.
I think that it's a clear message that we do not really understand the power of competition.
Right.
We don't understand the power of competition.
Right.
If we do, there will be no need for anybody to be calling on anybody to reduce anything.
Very well.
The forces will tell the person that the city was at 16. The city is now at what? Maybe 14 or 13. What is the difference? Okay, let's assume that this is it. But I see one other problem also here is that the fear of the unknown, that in terms of the appreciating city, how stable is it going to be? Because assuming that you buy the thing and you assume that maybe the city will remain at 13 today, assuming that it doesn't even appreciate anymore. So if I sell at this price, I will make this. And then in 2 weeks or in a month's time, before you order stock, the city has jumped back to another rate. Then the trader is at a loss. Anything? We should look at the history of the city and realize that if traders are behaving a certain way, we can't blame them much. I think last week I did a story. The city, as at 1965, 1 cedi was more or higher than the dollar. 1 cedi was exchanging for $1.17. So you need $1.17 to buy 1 cedi in 1965. Today, if you take away redenomination, the cedi, if it's at 13 cedis today,
to a dollar,
it means that the cedi, 1 cedi minus the redenomination is now 130,000. It's now 130,000. So the cedi has a record of massive depreciation since its launch to today. So if a trader is looking at this history, the trader will be reluctant to say, I do not know, and I cannot tell, I cannot forecast. You see, in fact,
reason why good time the likes have asked for 60 days.
You understand? So, in fact, if the city had been stable without even appreciating, the traders will even be more careful because okay, we have some stability. But right now, it's like there's a sharp appreciation. The truth is that we have experienced this sharp appreciation in the past, and all of a sudden it turns to another sharp depreciation. So if you look at the history of the city itself about appreciation and depreciation, obviously every trader will be careful to say maybe let's give ourselves sometime 2-3 months to see whether this thing is really going to be the norm. But if you rush within a month or two to say the city is appreciating, so I quickly want to jump, you see, and that's why people should look at it. The city was at 14.7.
Let me hear from Ibrahim. Let me hear from Ibrahim on this matter. The uniformity in pricing that these unionization or associations afford may not necessarily benefit the consumer, but rather the unions and their associations. Guta, we've heard, asks for 60 days before they can reduce prices. But with what Elvis has also explained regarding the history of the city, what will it take for this appreciation of the cedi to reflect in the pricing so that end users can benefit?
Okay. Well, first and foremost, let's understand that there is no uniformity. I go to Abosokai from time to time when I need spare parts, and you shop around. There is no uniformity. You can understand that there is a window whereby
it's a close range.
Yeah, close range, because of competition.
Yeah.
So let's not skew the conversation as if all of them are selling lower arm at this price, or selling a steering wheel at this price, or the windshield at this price, brake at this price. That is not the case. It's never been the reality. It's a competition, and the traders themselves know that, oh, Ashimashi is selling this, so let me get close to him or get far away from his price. So let's understand the reality on the ground. Yes, what the association does is it can galvanize, it can encourage, the members to price in a certain way, but there's no itemized list, saying that fan belt is this, and that's never been the case. But it can help create that environment of price reduction, and so it's welcome, that they are taking that lead. I have no problem with that, because as a consumer, that's what you want. If it was the other way around, whereby the association is saying, because of the city, let's all increase the prices, would we not be against it? So if they're calling for the reverse, let us appreciate what they are doing in that area. Elvis is 100% right, though, when he says that it's about competition, and market forces should be allowed.
Yeah.
But market forces can be allowed, but you also allow, you can nudge certain, you can introduce certain factors to get a desired outcome. Why is Donald Trump not allowing market forces to work? Because he's seeing that American manufacturing is going out of America. He thinks tariff is the way to do it. It is not. It has never been the way to resolve an issue whereby your manufacturing base is going out. It's about you making yourselves more competitive. Because the person who pays the tariff is not the Chinese person, ultimately. It's you, the consumer.
Yeah.
And I think Donald Trump knows that, or he should know that. And the same thing applies here in Ghana. Yes, the city has appreciated several factors as to reasons why, but some members of the association have told the, let's say, the union's rep, Mr. Ochere, that as for them, they're going to wait and see how stable this city appreciation is before they take any action. Again, showing you that it's not a monolithic one block. I say this and everybody follows suit. It's not. Members, some members are saying, look, thank you for the advice, but we want to wait and see first in terms of that. It's a positive call. Again, to repeat what I'm saying, governments must take the necessary action to encourage economic activity. The last thing you want is that for gains to be lost through inflation. And unfortunately, markets, leaving Abosokai out of the window, what happens generally when there's a price increase in transportation? Somebody who's bought stock maybe 6 months ago or 3 months ago at a certain price, before the price went up, as soon as it's announced, suddenly they increase.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, the increase has no relation to the stock you bought or the price at which you bought it. They do it all the time.
Yeah.
Let's not just focus on Abosokai. It's something that every entrepreneur does. They take it as an excuse to increase prices. Are those who are selling rice, oil, tomato, and all the other commodities we buy, are they reducing prices as we speak? No. You'll find that the tin of milk, regardless of whether the cedi is, 13 cedis to the dollar or inshallah 5 cedis to the dollar, will remain the same. What needs to happen is for other entrepreneurs, the business community, to take advantage and say, look, oftentimes when you sell affordably, you rather get patronized a lot. It happens all the time. And if they could just take that business attitude and say, look, instead of making 20% profit, let me make 5% profit.
Right.
You will find that your turnover will be quick because people patronize you. You'll be quickly online telling your suppliers, I need another container. And while the other guy who's doing adufude, greediness, will see that his stock remains. So to conclude on my submission on this topic, it's a welcome call, but it's for the individuals at Abosokai and elsewhere to take heed. Those who are smart enough to lower their prices and communicate it so. What I would want Abosokai dealers to do now, go on their WhatsApp phones or wherever they have their social media, okay? And say, look, I'm selling brake pads at this price. Here's my location, and tag your location on the WhatsApp.
Right.
So when I'm coming to find you, I don't know to do lugu-lugu, I can find you with my Google Maps and come to you and buy. Similarly, I can buy from you if I trust you. You put it on Okada will come and deliver to me.
Right.
And I'll Momo you the money. And so I want Abosokai dealers and every other entrepreneur take advantage of the digital space that we have and communicate the reductions you have, the advantages that you can give the consumers. So while your guy is keeping his price stable, artificially so, regardless of the appreciation of the city, take advantage, use the digital space and sell direct to us, put it in an Uber, Okada, or Bolt, or Yango car, whatever it is, because it could be a big item, and deliver it to me.
Right.
And then you give instructions. If the momo is not received, don't release the item to the person. I mean, we do it already.
Yeah.
People are selling kenke via Uber and Bolt. Am I right?
Yeah.
You're sitting in your home and your kenke coming. Kena comes to you. Your wache is delivered to you. Your fufu is delivered to you.
Right.
Why can't we deliver brake pads and lower arms and what we call it trafficator in this country, traffic indicator. We made it trafficator. So I'm just sharing this idea to Abosokai, and every other business community use the digital space to do better than your competitor. And you'll find that we will, patronize you all the more. And if we all do this in a meaningful way, in a business way, this is not about patriotism. Business doesn't care about your nationality or your patriotic fiber. It cares about profit and loss. And if you're a smart business person, you can find a way to maneuver your competition and give an affordable price that everybody will benefit, and you will, your bottom line will increase.
Right. Elvis, briefly, how far do you think communication from government on ways to sustain or consolidate the gains made with the Cedi will go to influence pricing?
It's not about what you say. It's about what happens on the ground. And these Abosoka people of the market, we think that they are very smart. They are successful business people because they are very smart. You understand it? So it doesn't matter what government says. They will look at the realities on the ground. Already, Fitch has said that, forget it. This thing we are doing is not sustainable. Second half of the year, the Cedi will go back to 14 plus, start depreciating. APSA just released their market research survey. APSA says the Cedi will go back to about 14.5 by the time
it will end the year at 14.5.
And the Cedi as of December was at 14.7. So the Cedi is reversing to almost the same level. So if a trader in Abosoka can read and realize that this thing is going to be short-lived, and therefore we are going to go back the same rate almost as it was at the end of December 2024, there's no way that trader is going to reduce anything. Because if he reduces, he's going to incur huge losses, because if the stock that is there, he or she bought it at 14.7 rate, and now there's some depreciation, appreciation. You are telling the person to reduce it, and the person gets information to realize that almost all credible institutions who have the knowledge to determine the direction the Cedi will go are saying that depreciation will return, then that trader is never going to reduce the prices. You understand it? So sometimes we look at this way, we think that they are not smart. I always tell people that if you see anybody who is trading as being successful, know that the person is very smart.
True.
So see, we think we understand the Cedi dynamic. They understand it more because they deal with it on daily basis.
Exactly. Yeah.
So if the person read the next stock I will take, maybe it will be in June or end of June before I will grab the next stock. And the person read that, they say from second half of the year, that means from July, the Cedi should begin to depreciate again because ABC, because all the predictions are that for now, government is not paying its bills. Government is not paying its bills. So government is able to inject something into the exchange market. If government begin to pay its bill, there will be no money around to be able to be injecting into supporting the currency. For which reason, whatever, and this is what people matter. The rigidities of the economy are the same. Our imports have not significantly increased. The only place we are making something small is that the price of gold is increasing. It's not that the volume of gold we are exporting is increasing. Do you understand? So clearly, in terms of the fundamental issues of the economy, either we are doing more production.
We're even making oil revenue losses.
Yes,
now
because oil
is below $65 a barrel.
Exactly. So if depending on the figure we forecast with the oil revenue, now the oil has gone up. It means that even the increase in gold prices will now have to make up for the deficit oil price will make. And then when you begin to pay your debt, and the government is crying. April we were able to inject $490 million into the exchange market to make sure the Cedi is getting what it is. But the energy minister is telling that you can't find $40 or $50 million to buy crude oil for power thermal plants to generate. It tells you that government is really broke, and we know we are a broke country. It means that even government revenues and money to spend is not there. Because the money is there, the Minister of Finance should not be crying that he's struggling to raise the financing for crude. You understand it? So then that should tell you that clearly that whatever is happening to the city, if government, see, for the few months, government has a honeymoon period. You are not spending. Anybody is not expecting government to spend. But from June going, everybody will begin to say that, okay, now you've read your budget. You have some time to be able to adjust it. So now you should be able to begin to release money to institutions for us to see how. And when it gets to that point where government will now be under pressure to begin do that, all the promise, do this. You realize that government will be under pressure. That's why all these predictions are coming. If you read the Fitch report, it tells you that if you look at what government is supposed to pay, clearly, if the government starts payment or pressure amount of government to start paying, really there will be no money to support the local currency. So it's not that fundamentally we have increased our export. Maybe non-traditional export, we increase we have been able to do more production in this country, and we are exporting more to bring in the dollar. The only one we are relying on is gold. Because the price of gold keeps going up. And now with even US and China now agreeing on tariffs, you realize that gold, the way the price is rising, is good. Now people can now see the US market as well, a safe haven to move from gold to right now. Because of the instability, investors are moving from stocks and putting their money in gold as a safe haven. But once stability is established, now that the Americans say we are going to take 30% from the Chinese goods, and Chinese said they will take 10%, and they have agreed that that instability that the system is bringing, once that stability comes, price of gold will no longer be that attractive much. Then people will begin to move back to the stock. Then the issue of the dollar actually is also losing its value will no longer be a problem for the dollar.
Will begin to gain some
clearly, if this Apostle market, we will think that they are very smart. They get some of this information to know that the stability or the reduction is not going to last long. Even if there was a stability instead of appreciation, you'll be surprised that they'll be more interested in the stability than the appreciation. Because if the stability is something that can last for 3 months, they may say, oh, if it lasted for 3 months, then it's possible that it could go further. But now, if it's appreciation, and then they are reading that, oh, they said every institution that deals with finance issues that are credible are saying that with the volume of things government needs to pay for, it means that when government starts actually paying, which the estimate will be from like June going, the room for foreign exchange to be doing some of these things may not be there, because the same money that government will be using to do what? To do all these payments. The government is already far beyond what? Apart from $40 million a month, or the minister said 1.1 billion for the year, to let's say about $90 million is there to buy crude and liquid fuel for the plants every month.
Don't forget about the BDCs as well. Maybe some 400 a month.
Aside that, you already owe the power plant. You have an outstanding bill to almost $2 billion is outstanding as legacy debt. So there are issues that because there's a honeymoon period and there's no expense, we are now trying to find out where we will spend. So I think that whilst I will be happy that our economy works like elsewhere, when a little adjustment will feel it, I think that our economy has not matured to that level. And therefore, all traders, especially when they are not producing the things here, but they are importing, when there is any change in the currency, they want to look at it for a period of time to see whether this thing is going to be there for a long time or not before they take any action. So if that's why Fairbank is saying that they should be given 60 days. Because they want to look at the 60 days and see what will happen to the currency in 60 days. And then they will decide. And if by that 60 days things start, show that, oh, the city can no longer appreciate the way it is. Then our call for them to reduce these things. Also, let's understand that we have a nascent economy. It's not like the US economy or the UK economy, where we know that every little thing that happens will reflect in the consumer's benefit. No, our economy is not like that. So I think that all the calls are in the right direction. At least it's also make the traders understand that we also have expectation of them as consumers. But then no trader to want to lose his or her capital because he rushed to do something.
No, not for, give me a minute on this. I always like to, in my humble way, try and open people's minds when there's an opportunity, a business opportunity. Elvis mentioned something right now. By December, if we believe Fitch and ABSA, the exchange rate will come back to where it was in December 2024, am I right?
Yeah.
So if you import parts, you're back in the same situation. So what does that tell you as a Ghanaian? I'm speaking to the Abosokan people right now. Why don't you, are you listening, Nana?
Yeah, I am.
Collectively, it just takes a few people, you do 3D printing, listen very well, of component parts. Now you have metal laser sintering, okay, which is aluminum alloys, which are heat resistant. You have high performance plastics, okay, which are heat resistant. You can, I'm hoping as I talk, Google now, those who are watching, 3D printing of car parts or car components. The technology is there. The inputs are there. I mean, I mentioned the metal alloys, the plastics. And what do you do what do you call it? To print it. You scan it. Those who have never used a 3D printer, I beg you, just go on YouTube. You put the item in there, it scans it, or you have the the graphics of it,
Right.
and it will look at the dimensions, scan it, 3D, and print it.
Right.
Imagine you have an industry scale system, because the Abosokai dealers are millionaires. I'm talking dollar millionaires.
Yeah.
Dollar millionaires. Do not disrespect them financially.
Not at all.
So when say, why am I always importing? Why can't we do this? Because now the technology is there. So now if you come together collectively, 10, 20 of you, because you need the financial capital, and you start, and it's not like you produce every single item in Abosokai. I'm not saying that.
Yeah.
But like Elvis said, it's a nascent economy. You start somewhere. You start somewhere.
Exactly. Yeah.
How did Tata start? Tata, the
Yeah.
big steel company. It was doing tractors, farm equipment. Now it's this huge global monolith.
Yeah.
Last 3-4 weeks ago, I mentioned to you about the Zaibatsus. Do you remember? These are Japanese companies, Mitsubishi.
Yeah.
Then you have Toyota or Toyota, as it was then. Okay, these all came together. Panasonic.
Yeah.
In the Meiji dynasty, this is 1863. They saw and said, look, let's force them to work together. And then you have these huge conglomerates who are financially anchored, because they brought in banking, the banking families and the industry families, and worked together.
Right.
So here you have Abosokai dealers. If every year you are a slave to the exchange rates, because you're importing those component parts, why not 3D print them? I'm saying it's called laser sintering. These are where metals.
But you think that's an opportunity to go into manufacturing
Yes,
here?
every event, whether negative or positive, especially the negative ones, creates an opportunity
Right.
for you to fill a gap. Because right now I'm seeing a need whereby we can, how do you call it, remove the, what do you call it, the importation of these parts and manufacture them. So you want a Mitsubishi, a Mercedes, or Toyota, a Hyundai, the parts are there. You know, they're online. So you can either take the, what they call it, the diagnostics, whatever they call it, I don't know the exact word, and actually print it. You feed the software in, and it'll print what it is. Or you scan it, and it'll print it on an industry-wide level. Now, someone say, Brian, what are you talking about? It's that kind of thinking that puts Ghana and Africa where we are. Because we fail to question the possibility of how. We always want to look at the negative. It won't work. Are you sure? All the negatives, they are quick to answer. But all the solutions, they are very shy to add value to an idea. That's been the bane of Africa as I see it.
Will the original manufacturer be ready to give you that permission to begin?
It's there. Whether they give it or not, I don't need your permission. I don't, because I'm not copying the whole construct of the car. Where
Yes, but you're duplicating a part of the car.
and you're allowed to, and you are allowed to.
Is it?
Why not? The person who duplicated the cog is those wheels. Well, are you trying to tell me that the wheel has a, what do you call it? Has a, what's the word you call it? You know when
Franchise.
you, no, not franchise.
What, a
When
trademark?
when you patent, has a patent on it?
Yeah.
Where in the world is there a patent that I invented the wheel? Where in the world is there a patent saying that I invented this brake pad? There are some things that are generic. Do you get me? Whereby there's no patent restricting you from actually, as you say, copying. And again, China is the #1 copier. Rolex watches, the Gucci bag is mentioned. What has happened to China? In the 70s and the 80s and the 90s, China was copying everything. Am I right?
Yeah, true.
Yes. What happened to China? Did the World Trade Organization ban them?
No.
Market forces will determine. As Elvis mentioned in his early submission, we said, yes, China is copying, but I want that Rolex, that fake Rolex, that fake Gucci, you know, that fake Fendi bag, all the things they were copying. And then it went into, in fact, actually faking, in fact, or copying branded items like Heinz baked beans. Do you get me?
Yeah.
You think it's a Heinz baked beans, but it's our own beans with a label on. So China has shown the way that you can copy. I understand it's a legitimate concern you're bringing. Ibrahim, if we do this, what are the obstacles ahead of us? Do you get me? But again, these are parts. There's no patent on a cog.
Right.
Are you following me? Because generally parts are generic. Some may be specific to a car, but I can take a brake pad meant for a particular car and it will work for another car within reason.
Yeah.
Are you following me?
Yeah.
And so I want people to open our minds to the possibilities that are out there for us. There's an issue with importation because we're a slave to the exchange rate. So let me produce those components here. Volkswagen is here, am I right?
Yeah.
Actually producing Kantanka. Now Kantanka, they produce cars with the CTK assembly kits from China. But they are, to all intents and purposes, assembled stroke manufactured here. Kantanka. So these component parts is a whole industry. Spare parts is an industry, multi-billion industry separate to the car itself. So to the Bosokai dealers and entrepreneurs generally, look at ways and say, I'm going to do a niche. Do you know what I'm going to do? I'm just going to print brake pads.
Okay.
And if you Google, you see that there are alloys, metals and plastics, which are heat resistant, that can perform just as the real thing.
Yeah.
So all you want to do, things that go quickly, fan belts, okay? The consumables, brakes, okay? Headlights.
Right.
These are all spare parts that we generally get, you know, and the lower arms, the things that are rough roads spoil.
Yeah.
Print those things. We have Valco there. Now, if you know what a lower arm is, it's what holds the car up, the wheels, okay? It's aluminium based. Are we not having an aluminium factory here?
Yeah.
Am I right? And we produce aluminium alloys, the ingots. I've seen it myself back in 2017 when I did a tour of Valco. That time Dana Champon was there. He was the CEO. They gave me a full tour to see from the cell line, see aluminium being poured from the bauxite poured, and then you see the aluminium. It makes you proud to be a Ghanaian. That wow, we are actually in that industry stage, whereby it's not just a lot of the bauxite is shipped out. I understand to Trinidad and Tobago, but it's an aluminium alloy that we are producing here in Ghana. So from that, why can't I then do a mold and then produce the lower arms here in Ghana for all the cars?
Right.
So this is why I want our entrepreneurs and our business people to be thinking, there's an opportunity, let's fill it. And then we reduce our reliance on importation.
Right.
And as I said, just 10 more seconds, you start somewhere and you build. Do you know how Japan built its industry? I'm talking its industry from toys. Toys, T-O-Y-S. And it built and built, and then it then diversified. And, you know, I'm not saying they didn't do anything else, but from the 80s onwards, you know, toys was a major component of their manufacturing base, and it just, you know, had a knock-on effect.
Right.
So that's what we need to do in Ghana. Machine, Jermaine.
Very well. Let's move on to this issue of streetism. Last week we saw the Ghana Immigration Service hit the roads picking up these street beggars, their parents alike. We're being told that more than 2,000 of them have been picked up. They will be transported back to their countries after profiling. Elvis, I'll start with you. Good riddance, is it?
Talk. We are always talking.
The same talk.
The same immigration service.
But we're seeing action now.
How do people enter the country? And who is supposed to ensure that when people enter this country, they are the right people and they have the right documentation?
The Immigration Service.
So they
But we know
allow.
how porous our borders
So
are.
we allow them to come, and now we spend money to go and carry them, and then pay plane ticket or bus ticket and send them to their country. See, that's what in this country we talk instead of doing the right thing. Instead of acting, we only talk, and the talk is our problem. Public institutions paid by taxpayers' money to work, they so much love talk, but the actual work they are supposed to do will become an issue. You understand it? This is what the situation is. Immigration Service carrying these people to this country. I give you 3 months, they will all be back. As you rightly said, the borders are porous. We are not really strategically doing anything to fix the borders. These people will come in, they will still be on the street, nothing will happen. See, as I said, we pretend too much in this country, okay? I remember very well, that should have been a signal for us to know how to deal with our borders. When the war in Darfur started, that was around, I think, 2005, 2006. We saw a flood of people on the streets, Sudanese. One day, National Security went to pick them up and said, they are all rebels from South Sudan. The rebels from South Sudan made it into this country and were on our streets. That should have sent a huge signal to us that if people who we describe as rebels were able to make it into our country and all the way to the capital and were on the street for months before somebody decided, oh, these people are nuisance, picking them up in interrogations and the rest later before they realize, hey, some of these people, they are just not even just ordinary people, and that they were at the forefront of the battle in South Sudan. It clearly tells you that, see, as a country, see, we see these things. We know we pay institutions to do their work, but then when they come and do the after event, they want to be praising them. See, when they do the after event, they want to be shouting and praising them. So you see, prior to the elections, there was this project the Immigration Service has started about e-immigration, where they want to use technology and electronic means to at least make sure that about the country's borders are well protected. It became a political issue. So as we speak, that project is hanging. Though the immigration believed that it was a good project, it became a political issue. Somebody think that, hey, somebody is trying to fleece the country and all that. Now, the new government has come to now, nobody is saying anything about e-immigration. Is it so? When we sit in a country and what we do is to talk, and then we wait for the wrong things to happen, and then all of a sudden we see institutions running, moving around, as if they are doing something. This is not the first time immigration has deported people on the streets. Go on Google and see the number of times we spent money. I remember about 3 or 4 years ago, a similar exercise was undertaken where the same way we went and pick people, put them in buses, we paid the fare, some of them we put them on planes and paid with state money. And 3 or 4 years later, the people are back in the country and we are spending public money to do same. Sometimes some of this, if we should be asking how much are we investing, so you realize that we are just a bunch of jokers. Because you realize that we are spending so much money pretending to be fixing these problems and we are not fixing it.
So the actual work should be done at the point of entry.
But my brother, how on earth will you say that people can be able to enter your country gallivanting everywhere for months and you take public uproar and the rest, you round them up, you send them away, 2-3 years time they are back. The street is full again. If we check for the past 10 years, we can find about 4 or 5 or similar exercises by immigration that they spend public money to carry these people, send them to their country, and a year or 2, they are back in their country. It is so, for me, sometimes when we are pretending as if this is the first time they are doing it, we are applauded, I don't see it. I always say that we are always acting after the cat has left the bag. And I don't think that this is the way we should be spending public money, because this is not that we just say, oh, they have done, but nobody asks how much did we spend and how many times have we done this throughout the country in several years, and we want to look at the budget and that was, if this amount has been spent, probably if we are topped it up like this to rather fix the main issues around the borders and make sure that before anybody enters this country, possibility that we can reduce this by fixing the borders is the solution, rather than allowing them to come in. We send them back, and because still we have not fixed the main problem, we are fixing the symptoms, but we are not fixing the causal factors of the disease. So then you send them, they will come back. You send them, they will come back. So the issue is not about this. The issue should be focused on what is the state of Ghana's borders. How do people enter this country that at the end of the day will spend money to take them away? What do we need to do to fix our borders to make sure that before people enter this country, we know they are here rightfully, we know the address where we can find them if we need them for anything. We will be able to establish this until we fix the causal factors. Treating a symptom doesn't cure a disease. This country, most of the things we do is all about treating symptoms rather than finding what is causing the problem. We always just treat symptoms, and that is what we have done all over the years. And that is what immigration has done all over these years. We keep treating symptoms. I know that immigration institutions know their problem. I have the privilege of seeing Ghana's borders from immigration. And I can tell you that until the state sit up, work comprehensively, strategy, a border management strategy, and implement it, invest in it, this thing will just be a repeat all over again. Every 3-4 years we'll be doing this thing because we have not been able to fix what is to be fixed.
Very well, Elvis. Thank you. Ibrahim, I'll come to you briefly, but let me take a break here. When we come back, Ibrahim gets a bite on the issue of streetism and how to cure this, as Elvis has put it. This is Breakfast Daily here on ChannelOne TV. Stay with us. We'll be right back. Grateful that you stayed on with us. This is Breakfast Daily here on ChannelOne TV. We're having the news review segment, Elvis Darkmo of the News Center newspaper, newscenter.com is here. Ibrahim Ajay, former Assistant Secretary, Office of the former President, is also here. Ibrahim, I promised to come to you after the break. So yeah, the issue of streetism, and then we're looking at how porous our borders are, which has led to this cyclical problem, if you like, because we've seen investments in clearing the streets of these foreigners, but after a period, they come back. So how important is it to invest in ensuring proper scrutiny at our borders to nip this issue in the bud?
Nana Tufo, thank you. It's an important point that you raise, but let's look at the reality first and foremost. Before I go to the borders, I want to echo something that has been said already. June 2022. Am I right?
Yeah.
5 years ago, nearly. Next month is June.
Yeah.
Yeah? 2022, sorry, 3 years
so
ago.
3 years.
3 years ago.
3 years.
1,320 Nigerians were repatriated to Niger because of begging.
Right.
Because under the 1969 Beggars and Destitutes Act, begging is a criminal offense in Ghana, except for those who are maybe begging for alms for religious reasons.
Right.
Okay, but begging as a profession, without any reason, if I can put it that way, professional begging, let's put it that way, is a criminal offense.
Right.
It exempts children under 17. That's why you see children doing the begging.
Right.
Okay, so maybe we need to change the law in that. You have to look at ways in which those children, okay, can either be put into care, because you have to have a human face to them. They're not the ones doing it, it's the parents who are pushing them. So you have to find ways and means which either we can put the children into care. Inshallah, if you remove them, are you following me? Then the parents may make a better decision in life. Or again, you don't arrest the children, but the parents, who will be foreign nationals generally, are then repatriated. But again, it tells you what Elvis said. It happened before, and then they find their way back. But that should not be the reason why we give up. That should never be the reason why you give up in life. Never. Life is about tenacity, endurance, determination. And you keep doing it until you get the desired outcome. And as a country, as a continent, that's what we need to do. We need to have that mindset. It didn't work this way. What can we do to make it actually work? Now, on the borders, Togo's border, the length of it, is 1,098 kilometers between Ghana. That's 682 miles. How many posts can you have? I'll come to the technology in a minute.
Yeah.
With Burkina Faso, 602 kilometers. That's 374 miles.
Right.
And then Ivory Coast, 720 kilometers, 447 miles.
Right.
That's the length. To our north, to our east, and to our west. It is impossible. Let's understand that. Now, that does not go to say what I said earlier about determination. But the reality is impossible to man it. Physically. But yes, we can use the technology. What are they doing in the Arizona border right now? They're using drones, they're using satellite imagery, you know, thermal imagery, because they want to come, they want to come in the night. So these things are helping. So when you see that, it relays information, then you can send your drone or your patrol and say, intersect them here, because we can see where they're going. So you don't need to, for example, in the case of Togo, the whole 682 miles are covered. Generally, they'll come through certain areas, and then you target those areas and catch them. And slowly but surely, we'll get to a point whereby the way in which we catch and where necessary, incarcerate where necessary, I beg you, you know, it will act as its own deterrence in time. I say that with a mind on African unity as well. I say that with a mind on African unity, that God willing, inshallah, when we do get there, these things will not be an issue. Inshallah. And God willing, we'll get there. But let's deal with the reality now. It's about making sure, Nana Tufo, that we are resolute, focused, and sustain our pressure. To the point that when they do come, don't wait for an exercise, you arrest them there. Yes, they'll find their way back. Do Ghanaians not go to Abrochi? Do some not get deported?
Yeah.
Then they change passports and go back. So let's not pretend that we are just, you know, the recipients of illegal migrants. We ourselves are abroad without papers. Let's understand the reality. He is without sin, cast the first stone. If you live in a glass house, don't throw stone. Am I right?
Yeah.
So when we talk about this, there are thousands of Ghanaians who have found their way illegally outside.
Yeah.
So come on, let's be real. Poverty and other factors lead people to look for greener pastures. We should thank God that they find that there's greener pastures in Ghana. Yeah, it tells you something. How many Ghanaians do you see going to Sudan? In reference to Sudan. How many Ghanaians do you see going to Sudan? Because we know what's happening in Darfur and Khartoum.
Yeah.
But yes, we'll go to Nigeria, we'll go to Togo, Ivory Coast, Sierra Leone, Senegal, because they are also doing well. So if you see a Ghanaian illegally in another country outside of ECOWAS, because ECOWAS allows us as an ECOWAS passport holder or citizen to live in those countries free, without hindrance. Okay? So the fact that we can go there should tell that those countries, inshallah, alhamdulillah, are also doing well. So let's not be holier than thou.
But when you get there, what do you engage in whilst there?
Yes, but well, so far we have not heard that Nigerians, there's not Nigerians or Nigerians from Niger, not Nigeria.
Right.
We have not heard, I'm not saying they are angels, that they've been killing, doing armed robbery. Those things have not come out. That's not to say it may not have happened. But we don't see them beyond the begging, you know, but outside the begging, you don't know if some groups are doing prostitution, all manner of vices, we don't know. What we're saying at surface level is begging. What do they do? And they make a lot of money. Ghanaians, I pray you listen. They make a lot of money.
They do.
Do not be deceived. Oh, if you remember, boy, oh wow, here's 1 cedi, here's 5 cedi, here's 10 cedi. Yes, you're doing sadaqah.
Yeah.
You're doing charity. But the Quran tells you, do not give money to people who beg inopportunely. Look for the person who's really suffering and give. Your sadaqah will find better roots, better value in the sight of Allah, in the sight of God, if you look for the person in need. And the person in need often doesn't ask for help.
Right.
They don't ask for help. But those who get up in the morning, before they brush their teeth, now they're on the street begging, I beg you. Don't think your sadaqah will go far. Don't. Look to the Quran. I'm sure the Bible is the same. It said God loves a cheerful giver, am I right? Yes. But also look for the person you're giving to. Let me just park my conversation on that side of things. Because sometimes we are emotionally blackmailed. Oh, let me give. You think you're giving, and then Allah, God Almighty is saying, oh, well done. No. Because it's already directed you. Don't give to people who beg by heart. I'm talking the Quran. Islam. Don't give to people who beg by heart. Just like that. Or by heart, if I remove the slang. Look for the person in need. And oftentimes you'll see that they are the ones who don't ask for help. Let me continue with my submission now. So we're not holier than thou. So what can we do? How can we address this problem? We've seen it happen in 2022 and before. 2012 also, there's a few deportations, but the wholesale ones, when you Google, it's there. Sustaining. When they do come back, and they will, then on you arrest them. Continually, they'll get the message. Up until economies across Africa are strong and robust enough.
Arrest them and what?
You send them back. And now you're telling
them back.
Yes.
Right, okay, great.
Yeah, and send them back. They'll come back, just like we Ghanaians to keep. But over time, it'll have an effect. You cannot cure every single illegal immigrant. It's not possible. America is a test case. See the repatriating the El Salvadorians and the Venezuelans and the Mexicans. Give it time, they'll come back.
Right.
But of course, Donald Trump is resolute that, hey, we're going to change the narrative and we won't tolerate it again. Come through legally.
Right.
Nobody's saying Nigerians cannot come to Ghana. Nobody's saying that. Or any other foreign nationality. We are Africans. Let's understand that from our base. Come through legal means so we can determine whether we should give you entry or not. So to our brothers and sisters in Niger, I beg you, and other nationalities, Ghana is welcome. You are brothers and sisters, but come through legal means so that you can be afforded the hospitality that we are famed for in Ghana. Okay?
Very well.
So that's what we need to do. Government has to be resolute. Don't give up because they come back. Don't wait again another period to round them up. Right now, if you see a beggar, The law is there, 1969, Beggars and Destitutes Act. Arrest them.
Right.
And if you do that continuously, the message will go through.
Very well. Elvis, Ibrahim mentioned something quite important, the commercial value of this begging. And clearly some people have found it to be a business that they engage in. So, I mean, we've touched on the border issue, but how important is it dealing with the people actually behind some of these activities?
Don't we pay investigative bodies in this country? If journalists can investigate and find out that there are people behind some of these beggars, how come all the state security agencies are not able to fish out these people? I tell you, we talk, but the work, we don't do it. That is our problem. Nobody can convince me that national security set out and says it has come to their notice that there are people who are sponsoring these kids to the streets. They will investigate and get the kingpins behind and deal with them. This is something within 6 months. They will flash out a lot of these campaigns. But the national security, I don't think they even see it as a security threat. So they are not interested. Police will not do it. The rest will not do it. Because that's how a journalist can track a beggar to the point and get to know that someone has hired the place, they are sleeping there, the person, the boss, when they come to account for the person. And we have seen these stories published by journalists, and did the security agencies follow up to actually say, this is a tip-off to us, this could be a bigger thing, let's launch some underground investigations into these things across board. Have you ever heard it? And has there been? No. So see, we talk about issues, but there's institutions that we pay with public money to work in this country. Unfortunately, they don't do their work, and then we are happy complaining. We are not happy holding the institutions accountable. That how come you are not doing this and how come you are not doing that? That is one problem we have in this country. Anything per the law Ibrahim quoted, you the one giving the arms to, you are guilty of the law. You the giver.
Correct.
The law says that if you give arms to those kids and the people you see on the street, you are also committing a crime. Has anybody been arrested for giving out anything? Has any Ghanaian been arrested? The answer is, so the things we need to do to send clear signals to people that this thing is not tolerated, we are not doing it. Now, if I'm arrested for giving money to a beggar on 2 or 3 occasions, I will stop.
Of course.
Okay? It doesn't matter whether I want to be generous.
Yeah.
I realize that I can be generous, but there are better ways of doing it rather than giving to people on the street, which now become a nuisance for the nation, even when the law is against it. So you see, when the incentive for doing it is taken away, the business will collapse.
Correct.
Okay? But when the incentive for doing it is not taken away, the business will thrive. The fact of the matter is that the incentive has not been taken away. The sponsors are not being arrested. Those who are first who give to them are not being sanctioned. So we will spend public money to send them, and they will come and we'll still be giving them the money. The sponsors are sitting in the house, and these kids will go and come and come and give them their share. And they are not working, but they are richer than you, the one who wakes up at dawn to come here. So why won't the person do it?
I won't say big Ayeko. Continue the submission, but I'm hoping listeners and officials will listen to what Elvis just said. I'm not interjecting. Fantastic point. Can you imagine if you are cautioning everybody at the traffic lights, we the givers, we'll stop. And then suddenly the beggars will go. Continue.
They understand it. I told you, Rwanda is an African country, like Ghana. If you go to Rwanda, at every traffic light, 2 policemen are standing there holding a gun. They are not asking you any questions. But the fact that you saw the policemen standing there is enough for you not to do what you're supposed to do. So you will not see beggars on the street of Rwanda. You will not see hawkers selling ice water, or you will not see anywhere. Because every traffic light, every distance 3 kilometers, there are 2 police people standing there holding their G3 rifles standing there. It's just to tell you that the law is here and you cannot breach the law. That is all that they do. But here, the policeman will see you giving the money to the person. It's not even bothered about what you are doing, whether it breaches the law or not.
You don't even know that.
So the incentive, they uphold the law. If they don't know the law, they have no business being there. You understand it? They are supposed to uphold the law. See, so the fact that we are not willing to take the incentive, do you think that people in Kigali are not interested in hawking? They wish they are hawking. They wish they are selling ice water and the rest on the street. They wish that people can go and beg on the street. But the law says you can't do it.
The
And the law is there on the street waiting for you. And when they get you, you see the punishment. And you see somebody has been given serious punishment for committing that offense. So next, you will not even try it.
Right.
So you drive through Kigali, and it's like you're in a European city. The streets are clear. Everything is in order.
Right.
It's traffic, and both Okada and everybody is stopping. Simply because they realize that human beings will never do the right thing unless you compel them.
Right.
Most people will not do the right thing unless you compel them. So they employ the police, they're giving them what they need, and they give them mandate to deliver, and they are standing at every location that they are supposed to be standing. So you see, when we are not willing to enforce the law, and we are talking plenty, all that we are saying will not do foco.
Right.
Because the point is that our talk is not what is going to stop it. It's about enforcement of what the law says that will stop what we are talking about. So we can come and spend precious time here and talk about if the institutions, if we can't call out the police, we can't call out the immigration that you are not doing your work. So go and do your work. If we can't call them out, and if we can't compel them, we cannot mass up in their offices. Okay? And so immigration today, 10,000 Ghanaians are in the office today because you have failed to do your work. If you cannot mass up at the CID headquarters and the police quarters, 15,000, 20,000 Ghanaians say, look, we have been talking about do your work, but you are not doing your work. Now we will come and confront you.
To do that work.
If we don't do that, because we have been talking the Fourth Republic for 33 years. The institutions have become adamant. They've closed their ears. They won't listen. They won't do their work. So this talk back and forth will continue for the next how many years until we find ways of getting the institutions, okay, working. If the president can wake up and says, I drove through the presidential street and beggars are here, he's not going to call the immigration boss. You are fired because I drove to the street and I saw beggars. It's your duty and you are not there. The next immigration boss will not entertain it.
Exactly.
But see, this one, the president will drive through, see all beggars in front of even his office, and the president will not fire immigration boss.
Right.
President will drive through and see a pothole in the center of Accra. He will not fire the road minister and says, in the city of Accra, which is the capital, under no circumstances should there be a pothole here. I have seen a pothole, so you are fired.
Right.
The next road minister will fix all the potholes within Accra. You understand it?
Bro.
If we fire somebody for non-working traffic lights, the president drives to the traffic, it's not working, and the president gets his office and fires the person. See, I listen to some people who work with Kwame Nkrumah, and they say that is why Nkrumah delivered. Kwame Nkrumah doesn't care whether you are his best friend or who you are. When he gives you a mandate, he gives you a job. He has done his part by giving you a job. The next thing is that his supervision is his key. So he will ask you for a report on an issue. You bring the report. He won't discuss it. He asks you to go. After you are gone, you read the report. When you read it, he himself will go out there
And check.
whether what you said you have done is done. If it is not done, he's not going to call you that your report you lied. 12 o'clock news on GBC. You hear announcement. So he said all public officials, they don't miss the news on radio because your sacking will be announced on air. He's not going to call you that, I asked you to bring this report, and you said this, I went to check. I listened to one of the engineers, Engineer Kelechi. He said they completed the project 2 years ahead of time. And because they completed the project 2 years ahead of time, the estimate for labor cost for the 2 years was so huge. So Akosomboda was 4 turbines. But the savings that was made for completing the work 2 years ahead of time left so much money, and Nkrumah said that they should use it to add 2 more turbines to make it safe. Why? Because when they come to work, the engineers also, after they say they have closed and they have gone to the house, in the night, Kwame Nkrumah drives there to supervise what is going on. So before you wake up in the morning, if he comes there and not satisfied with something, you are fired. So engineers on that project, even when you are home, you sleep 2 hours and wake up and you want to go to work. And that is how come they completed that project 2 clear years ahead of time. And the 2 years cost for labor became a savings. And then it was used to extend it from 4 to 6 turbines. Presidents who want to achieve must understand that their own supervision is what will make their appointees deliver. But what we have had in this country is that our president loves the fanfare.
Thank you.
They love the fanfare. That is why they finish their term. They go and sit back, and there are a lot of projects that they started have not been completed. Now they'll be asking them, how come we're not able to complete it? It's because they themselves are not supervised. They leave the supervision, the minister or whoever is appointed is supposed to be the one making sure the work is done. He's supervising himself. They got the authority to supervise him to make sure that the right is done. It's not working, so the minister knows that if the work is not done, nothing will happen.
Ibrahim, let me give you the final bite on this, and then I need you to touch on if we can employ our diplomatic relations in addressing some of these issues. Because all of these countries from where these beggars come from have embassies here in Accra, Ghana.
Sure. Are we moving on to another topic? So I know how long.
No, we're wrapping up on this. We actually have just about 2 minutes in the show.
Somebody told me, in fact it was yesterday, that you need leaders who are like a tour de force in Africa. And I think Kwame Nkrumah, without any shadow of a doubt, was that leader, a tour de force. A leadership that was so, how can I call it? It permeated every aspect of society.
Right.
And until and unless you have those types of leaders who selflessly want to make sure that they leave a legacy and not a liability, that's how Ghana, Africa can really achieve. Like you said, normally it should not be the case that you micromanage. What he's saying is that Kwame Nkrumah was micromanaging. But you need that kind of, let's say, bird's eye view. Is what you're telling me really what is going on the ground? Not that you do every project, but you have your, how can I call it, your advisors and your team who will feed you that information. I mean, that's what ministers and regional ministers and CEOs are there for. But there needs to be a watchman for the watchman. You get me? Right. So governments or leaders need to stop pandering to their, how do you call it, their bootlickers. Onofiano is fine, everything is fine. And then when you see something wrong, you take action. Because it has a message that reverberates throughout. Last week I was telling you about having a Jonah in the ship. Do you remember?
Yeah.
Because of one person, the boat was about to collapse. When that person, Prophet Yunus, salam, Jonah, was removed from the ship and its cargo of people went to their destination safely. Government is exactly like that. And unfortunately, you have leaders who allow a certain Jonah in their ship, whether it's a CEO, minister, whatever.
Jonas, not only one.
Yes, two Jonas. You have to jettison them. Like Elvis say, you fire them.
Right.
No ifs, no buts. Thank you. We have 37 million people. I'm sure I can find another person to replace you. But somehow we feel that, hey, if I sack this man, the party will be against me. Leave the party, the nation will be against you. Then you see where the power lies. Right. So that's what we need to do. Now on the issue of the diplomatic relations,
briefly.
I'm sure you asked the question as if we were not doing that. I'm sure that over the years, these negotiations, these interactions happen. Let's not somehow think that in 60 years of independence, we are not talking and say, oh, this is happening, this is happening. That conversation happens. Beyond the conversation, because they too, why are there people here? It means they're also having problems. Right. Why are Greeks, Italians, Spanish, I'm just using those, Australians, who else can I mention? Russians, okay? All not going into, let's say, Germany. Right. I'm talking illegally. Generally, the economies are working. So what we need to do is have that conversation, but back it up with action. When we do that, we'll succeed.
Thank you so much, Ibrahim Ajay, former Assistant Secretary Office of the former President. Elvis Dako, News Editor, News Center, newspaper, newscenter.com. This has been the News Review here on Breakfast Daily. Thank you so much for joining us. But stay on the show. There's a whole lot more coming your way.